broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We are back. If you are tuning in, this is the Amazing Race After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm so excited about this season. I'm your host, James Wallington, and across from me, back and beautiful as ever.
Hey guys, I'm Jessica Carroll, and...
Hi everybody, I am Justin Nichols. God, it's good to be back.
We are so happy to be back, and season 25 of the best show ever, Amazing Race.
And there's so much to talk about because it's a fresh, new batch of contestants,
New cast.
racers,
Yep.
I love
not
it.
the All-Stars.
Nope.
And we also have Nando, who was on our original after show when we started, 2 years ago, I feel like, now engineering our show. So that's exciting.
I'm not on camera right now. I'll put myself on camera in a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah,
Alright.
it's awesome. And I saw the episode, so I can't wait to hear what you guys have to
chime
think
in,
about
too.
it. All right, absolutely.
Awesome. So let's just dive right in because
Let's
this
do
is
it.
the premiere episode and there's a lot going on.
So much going on.
So what I loved about this season is I'm a super fan. So season 25, like Phil said, it's the silver anniversary. I loved that they brought it back full circle. We're back in New York City where the first race ever began. And I remember back in the day when I was 12 years old watching the first season and being so amazed by the show. And it continues to amaze me every season. What did you guys think about it being live in Times Square with a live audience?
I thought it was awesome. I loved it.
No, I really did too, and I think having a huge crowd around you, especially in Times Square, it adds a level of excitement that you just didn't get on previous seasons where it was just Phil. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
you have crowds cheering you on, and it was great too. We'll get into it later, but the crowd actually helped them out right away at the beginning too.
Yeah,
So,
they were surrounded by Amazing Race fans and old contestants, but when they shot the camera over for like the old Amazing Race contestants, it was kind of an awkward cut.
I only noticed when they did that two
Yeah.
former racers. One was Terrence, and the other one was Frank, who is from the original season of The Amazing Race. So when we saw the teams running to the sidelines, they went to him to ask him
Right.
Yeah. He's the
because he
local.
was the one that knew.
Yeah.
He's totally
Yeah.
local. One thing, being a New Yorker and living there like most of my life and working in Times Square for a good amount of years, you know they shot that at 3 in the morning.
Oh,
I mean, the
totally.
crowd there was not all that big, and they probably got a lot of super fans, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's pretty obvious if you look at the way the day progresses that that's the only that was a pretty big crowd for 3 in the morning. But
Yeah.
you know that's when they probably shot it.
Well, they had posted it on CBS.com because I remember in the spring when we
Yeah.
were getting ready to wrap up our last season's after show, we saw it posted and it was like live, first time ever, come to Times Square and
Right.
watch the starting line for this new season of The Amazing Race, which would have been so cool had we been in New
I
York
know,
City.
I wish you were there.
But awesome. So we start off with the teams and we meet them one by one. First, we start off with Adam and Bethany, who are the newlywed surfers. And I really like Bethany, you know, because we know a lot about her story. She's been in the news quite a bit because at the age of 13, she ended up getting attacked by a
Yeah.
tiger shark who took off her arm. What do you guys have to say about Adam and Bethany, first impressions?
I mean, I like her. I think she's, you know, she proves to everyone that, you know, arm or no arm, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. I just think that they're kind of like team nice guys. Like,
Yeah.
they're super nice, and he clearly is, you know, in love with her. Like, he just talks
really.
so positive about her. So yeah, I like them.
No, I really like her, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with because
Yeah.
already in this first episode, they had some physical challenges, and she's great. I mean, as a professional surfer with only one arm, she has learned that she can still compete physically with some of the best athletes in the world. And so I think that even though she has a disability, only having one arm, do not write her off by any means, even in the physical challenges, because she's a tough girl. And of course, even just looking at him, you can tell he's a tough dude.
Yes, his abs. Okay.
Soul Surfers.
Soul
Moving on
surfers.
to Amy and Maya. Right now, they're one of my top favorites because I don't feel like they were recruited at a bar. I feel like they're actual fans of the race. They haven't really talked about being fans of the race, but to me, I feel like they're just kind of like a relatable all-American girls that you want to root for. And I love the whole food scientist twist. What do you guys think of Amy and Maya?
Well, okay, if you're experimenting and dealing with ice cream and candy all day, like, sign me up. But no, like, honestly, I think that's cool. And just like you said, I think that they're two best friends. You can tell how excited they are to be on the show, which is, you know, great to see. And yeah, I like them. I didn't really get to know them too much, but I like them.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really see too much of them compared to some of the other teams. You guys seem very positive about them. I think they seem like really nice girls. I am questioning a little bit if they have what it takes to be on The Amazing Race. Here's why. They seem super sweet.
Yeah.
But in their jobs right now, they're, as scientists, they work in very controlled environments. They know exactly what they're going to put in, what the outcomes, they're very, they like to measure everything. I don't know, like, do they have that aggressiveness to, slam the door on a taxi cab against other racers like we saw some teams do this week?
Right.
Are they going to freak out when things don't go according to their plan? I mean, I haven't seen much of them, so I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know about them.
If I can chime in, I think they're supposed to be the kooky people. They're supposed to be the clowns or the Harlem Globetrotter type crowd. You're supposed to have an appeal to them because they're not just scientists, but they're fun scientists.
Yeah. They're the sweet scientists.
But they are really playing up that whole scientist thing.
Yeah.
And I think if they keep it up this much on every episode, it can get old. Just saying.
We'll see.
That's true. And then you have to kind of wonder if that's how they're being produced and what energy.
For sure.
But I get what you're saying because a lot of people do get annoyed when the same thing is being repetitive. You brought up some really good points, though. But I think they are so determined to prove what they said, that they are more than just lab coats and beakers, that I think that they have an end goal. And like you said, when they have something that they want to accomplish, I think as scientists they can make that happen.
Yeah. I'm not writing them off. They're one team that I'm going to be really surprised if they make it into the top 6.
Sure.
Right.
All right, Dennis and Isabel. Honestly, they're not standouts to me by any means. Their story is just kind of blah. They kind of remind me of they're so forgettable from last from Jason and Amy's season. Hashokoti and the father-daughter team that got eliminated first.
Oh yeah.
Because they have that weird storyline where it's like, okay, Dennis is Cambodian, Isabel is Vietnamese.
Yeah.
They had that cultural conflict with their parents, like, we don't want you guys dating because you're not of the same background. What do you guys think? They're not standouts to me.
So I always write little like nicknames for each team, and for me, I put like. They don't really have like a brand. You know how like every other team is like soul surfers or, college sweethearts or wrestlers. It's like they are what? Dating
They're
couple?
like misplaced.
Yeah, well, that's literally their hashtag, the dating couple.
Okay, so there. Like, okay, dating couple.
Yeah.
Like, there's how many dating couples on the show already?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, she's a model. He's an accountant. I don't know. They don't really stand out to me. I think that they'll be gone pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they're cute. I wasn't annoyed by them this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll be surprised, but you're right. As far as right now, what I've seen, they get along okay. They did the race okay. But you know how the Amazing Race is. Okay just doesn't cut it sometimes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We then meet Brooke and Robbie, and I think this goes back to what you said, Nando, with the Harlem Globetrotter or the clowns. These are the characters for this season of The Amazing Race, the dating pro wrestlers. Already, they're not as big of personalities as I thought they were going to be. At the beginning,
Really?
at the beginning, their little segment about getting to know them was just so short. All they said is we're not like other people and we're focused on winning. And I was like, that's it. That's all I get from you guys at the beginning of the race. I think they have the potential to do well just by physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know about them yet. What do you think?
I mean, they're intense. If I was against this girl in a challenge, I would probably be intimidated. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But at first I really didn't like them. But they, throughout the race, they kind of went from being kind of like annoying and kind of cocky to me. But then towards the end, I don't know. I don't really know what to think about them.
I think I'm still on their team. I really do. Like you, James, I hope that their storyline grows a little bit because they do seem to have such big personalities individually.
Right.
And I hope that their aggressiveness goes against each other to make good television and also just against other contestants on the race. One thing I'm a little nervous about is Brooke because if you remember, they started out, like you said, very, very cocky, right?
Yeah.
And then the problem was that they got on a later flight and she was already like, we're done. Like, we might not win this anymore, blah, 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 blah. Then they got into that rowboat after Blackbeard's.
Yeah,
And they
what?
sang, and we'll get into it later, but then she said there, she goes, babe, we're done. Like, I feel like already twice in this very first episode, she already threw in the towel a little bit.
Which is
Right.
funny to me because if you're a professional wrestler, don't you think you would have a
keep
little bit
going.
more
Yeah.
confidence in your ability to perform tasks?
Well,
I don't
everything
know.
they do is staged anyway, whether they win or lose,
that's
technically.
true.
So
And I
it's
also
not
think,
competitive.
Yeah, I also think that she's a lot about, you know, like she cares what other people think, and so she kept saying like, I don't want to be a team that gets eliminated, but I definitely don't want to be the first team that ever gets eliminated. And so I think in the back of her head, she had that like, oh my God, this is gonna be so embarrassing. We're in the back of the, train already. We cannot get eliminated. And once all these things went wrong, it was like, we're gonna be that team. We're gonna go home.
Well,
So-
I like them. I mean,
do
I
too.
like professional wrestlers anyway, so because I watch WWE, so I definitely like them. But I definitely agree that she can be very one note if she keeps
Yeah.
throwing in the
Destructive.
towel,
Yeah.
and it'll just start to get annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be an annoying couple. But I do think that they are very charismatic. They know how to play characters, so
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to adapt in situations as long as she doesn't feel pressured.
Yeah,
And I think,
that's
and
true.
also I think if they can just maybe get into the top 3 on a leg coming up soon, it'll give her the confidence to just say, hey, you guys are good enough to do this.
Yeah.
So stop throwing the towel every 10 minutes.
Right.
Who we got next, James?
That we meet Keith and Whitney, our survivor couple for this race. To me, they're not like Boston Rob and Amber. They're not a memorable couple from Survivor. So to me, Keith and Whitney are kind of on the boring side already.
Yeah.
They weren't really memorable on Survivor South Pacific, and now they're back on Amazing Race, and I'm thinking, why? They're sweet people.
Yeah.
I think they have great hearts. Good for
love
them.
their
But
accent.
I'm just like, why? Why are you there? So
Well, their hashtag didn't even say Survivor on it, so that shows how much faith CBS had
Yeah.
in promoting them as
Yeah.
a Survivor
Right.
couple.
They're
Yeah.
Team Nashville.
Team Nashville.
Yeah.
which is cute and catchy. I mean, we did find out that they had to push their wedding back to do their Amazing Race.
Yeah, so they're gonna run the race and then run down the aisle.
Right.
That's their hard luck story. They had to push a wedding back.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Keith and Whitney? Did you guys see them on Survivor?
No, I didn't.
And I didn't either. So this was just a fresh look
Yeah.
at them for me.
Oh, yeah. So then what did you think?
I don't dislike them.
Right.
I'm not like a huge fan because they were kind of just there. I think she could have been, maybe a little more encouraging, a little more positive towards him during the challenge. So, I don't know. I don't really know much about them.
From a production standpoint, I really, really hope that they stay in this competition for a while because I think this is going to be your meltdown couple. I
Yeah.
do. Like already when they
I
were
know.
doing the treasure hunt, he was like, I need more positive energy from you. And just like, what do you want from me? And I'm like,
Yeah.
You usually
oh,
think
this
it'd be the
couple-
other way
Yeah.
around.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just
and
feel like-
she's like, well, if you keep digging in the same spot, like, I just think that I completely agree. I think that this race might just tear them apart a little bit.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I'm not wishing them to like break up forever, but I just think this is gonna be the couple that every episode will be tears.
Yeah.
Every episode will be like, get your butt over here, like, ooh. Drama-wise, I really hope, James, they can stick it out for a while.
Then
Yeah.
I'll stand with you on that.
Yeah.
too. We meet Kim and Allie, who I'm already huge fans of too, because they are the ride or die chicks of this season.
Yep.
They kind of remind me of Beth and Mona, the roller derby
Yeah,
girls.
for sure.
I love that they're adrenaline junkies and that they're a certain breed of crazy. And I think that they are a certain breed of crazy, which
Yeah.
will help them in a situation
Yeah.
like The Amazing Race. So to me, they are the polar. What I like about the all-female teams this season is that you have different females from
Absolutely.
the spectrum of female.
Right,
You
so
you
you
have
have-
like the smart, intelligent, nerdy. You have the driven, like you would think by looking at them. Again, I'm talking about blondes because reality TV is stereotypes. Lisa and Michelle had a lot
Yeah.
of potential because they are really
The top
successful
realtors,
Yeah,
yeah.
realtors in Miami. So for me, Kim and Allie are the other end of the spectrum where they're like down and dirty. They'll do
Yeah.
anything, and I
Tattoos.
love that. And I
Yeah.
think they'll do very well.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
I really like them. I think that they're like the badass or whatever, the cool girls that are gonna do whatever they need to win this challenge. And I also loved how I think it was Kim was like, so Adam, I'm thinking that you should take off your little white or life vest
Yes.
because whatever's underneath there we would all like to see.
Yeah.
So I like her already.
You know what? These girls are tough, and you're right.
Yeah.
And what's great about them is, since they're cyclists, they were saying at the beginning of this episode that they compete against guys all the time in their sport. So they are not scared of the firefighters. They're not going to be scared of anyone, male or female, on this race. And because they work in a physically demanding job in sport already, watch out for these girls. They had a lot of fun this episode, so I think that they weren't even push themselves that hard, and they still finished okay in this race.
Yeah.
I think when they really get on their stride, watch out for them.
Was it me, or they're from New York, right? So so was it just me, or when everyone was jumping in cabs in the beginning, I was really hoping they had their own bikes and they were just going to
That would have been so funny.
That would have been great.
That would have been funny.
And being that it was New York, they would have gotten there first.
Yeah.
So then we have Lisa and Michelle, the other spectrum. I had such high hopes.
Me too.
Such high hopes for them because they are really successful realtors from Miami. They're aggressive. They know really how to use every asset that they have to benefit them in any situation. So I had high hopes, but obviously I did laugh when they said the 12 pound of makeup.
Yeah.
I was like thinking, okay, there was no need to really say that.
Yeah.
I get that it was funny, but I was just like, come on.
See,
really stick to your guns about being the successful realtors.
I know. See, I was super excited for them because it was going to be like the first time in a very long time that they actually have two intelligent, smart girls who are successful and blonde. And then when she mentioned the whole makeup thing, I was like, don't ruin this reputation. Blondes can be smart without makeup or no makeup. And, I don't know. I'm sad. I liked them. I really did like them, but.
No, and Jessica, I thought of you the entire time.
Yeah, me too.
I really did, because as soon as I saw them, and when they said that they had the top realtors, I was like, Jessica is going to be all over this, because they just represent, you said, what you want to root for and just defy that stereotype. And the thing is, though, is they really did show that they are ruthless competitors. With those firefighters and trying to sign up for that flight, they were in there throwing elbows. With that taxi cab at the end, they were throwing. So I really am so disappointed how it worked out, because I feel like if they do have brains and if they were willing to compete, that one challenge, and we'll get to it later, is what threw them off. But I think they could have been in this game for a
long
while.
time.
I really do.
I'm very, very, very sad.
This brings us to Michael and Scott. They are firefighters from Boston, and they are the Boston Strong team this season. Already, to me, they are set up as the heroes. You want to root for them. They're really good guys from the East Coast. And again, I feel like we've seen a lot of the Boston stuff on CBS reality shows lately.
Yes, we have.
Interesting.
I don't know if you guys would agree, but that's just my opinion. So what do you guys think of our firefighters? Because we saw on season 22, the firefighters were the first team to go on that season. So they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're still in. They made it to
I'm
round
giving.
two.
Are they?
I'm being positive.
Okay. It's because they're heroes.
I like them. I don't know. I don't know what to say about them. They kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit after watching the episode. I really liked them in the beginning. When I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I really want to root for them, and I think that probably CBS wants you to root for them because how they're firefighters. I don't think they seem that strong this first episode.
And also, I think that their relationship between the two of them might not be as strong as the rest of the teams.
Sure.
And of course, that can play a huge role in The Amazing Race, is because they might work together and both be firefighters, but are they really necessarily best friends? Are they going to, be able to?
Yeah. I just found with these guys, a lot of teams this first episode either started out towards the end of the pack and then worked their way up, or they started at the top and then worked their way down. But all the teams got to experience kind of the head of the race for a little bit this episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
These guys, I don't feel like ever were ahead of the pack, were ever in the lead or ever lead. They were always chasing all the other groups.
Right.
And that's not a great place to start with this many teams.
And if they were going to lose, they were going to blame the realtors.
Exactly.
And it's like that was not the reason why you've been in last place the whole
episode.
Right.
So and I think the reason why there's so many Boston groups like in Survivor and Amazing Race, it's such a major outlet, a major market, and there's so many people from all over the country from Boston, and they have that Boston nation pride, whether they're Patriots fans or Celtic fans or whatever. So I think it's CBS's way of saying and obviously Boston Strong is a major message
Yeah.
and inspirational. So I think that's why. But yeah, I mean, they've had firefighters on before. They've had Boston people on before. So this is almost kind of like the dating couple in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't really like stand out.
The only standout Boston Strong team is Jason and Amy.
Bum,
Not being biased.
Our favorites.
So, but I agree. I mean, all I'm saying is I think that they're kind of the hero in a sense, but they're not by far a top 5 team for me this season.
Yeah.
So then we have Tim and TJ, who are definitely in my top 5 this season. I wasn't sure if I really was going to like them from their pre-interviews. I went online and watched them on CBS.com. I was like, I'm not really entirely sure about these two. But I think they're so adorable. And we learned that, you know, TJ's mom is not fully accepting of the gay relationship that they're in. I love how he said gay relationship. But that he thinks, you know, the mom still thinks that Tim is
The
his
roommate. Yeah.
I like them, and I think that they have a lot of potential. I mean, they surprised me with how physical they both seem like tiny, scrawny little dudes that I was shocked at how they held their own. So I think they're great. What do you guys think?
Oh, I love them. They are like probably one of my favorite, actually. I love them. Just like you said, I was blown away. Literally, when they, you know, these two like scrawny gay guys were like first up the mountain and like sprinting down the beach and like working their butt off. I was like, go for it, guys. I loved that energy that they have. And also they're funny, they're positive. I mean, you can't just not love them.
They're cute.
Yeah, I think watch out to other teammates because they're showing you not only do they do great the entire episode, they did it with a super fun attitude.
Yeah.
I love the scene where they were running down the beach and you could tell that Phil was planning on doing his intro for that part as they raced behind and probably just was expecting it to be a quiet thing. All of a sudden you hear, hey, Mr. Phil. Like, you know, it was a super like intense part and he was still having a good time. But also, they seem to have a really strong relationship.
They encourage
Very
each other.
supporting. They had a lot of laughs. And I think that's why Keith and Whitney stood out as far as the Nashville team because they seem to already have a lot of conflict. And then in comparison, you saw truly how strong Tim and TJ support each other. They really understand each other. So, I mean, and you're right. Despite how they may look physically as far as their strength, they got it going on.
And as far as encouragement, you could probably make a drinking game of how many times they say I love you to each other. I think they said it every challenge, every task that they were doing together. I love you, babe. Babe, I love you. I love you. Like before they even jumped off the boat. Like I love them and how much they love each other.
But this is the Amazing Race. They say I love you now. Give it 2 more episodes and it's going to be like, get over here.
This is one couple that I think is going to even just grow stronger together.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're
right.
right.
And I also loved how TJ, he did the challenge.
Right.
How he called for a medic because he was like, I'm not digging anymore. So they bring laughs and I love that.
Then we have Shelly and Niecy, and I obviously love them. I always root for the parent-child teams on Amazing Race. I love that they're flight attendants because I think that they'll have a lot of knowledge when it comes to airports, how to find the better flights.
Yeah.
We've seen it pay off for some previous teams on the race that were flight attendants too. So I like them and I have high hopes for them. It'll be interesting to see how their relationship plays out because they said that they're 17 years apart.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
You know, I really like them. I'm best friends with my mom, so I can relate to them. I think that they, just like you said, I think that their knowledge with airports and flights, that's going to really come to their advantage. And also, because they are best friends and mother-daughter and only 17 years apart, they even said, like, sometimes, like, I'm more of a mom and she's more, like, I think that they're going to be brutally honest with each other and motivating and just really have each other's back. So, and even how she said, like, you know, come on, freaking find this treasure chest so that we can get off the island and I want food. Like, they're just honest with each other because they're mother-daughter and they're having fun and they're in this together, so.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not love 2 sassy ladies from Detroit? I mean,
Exactly.
as far as like
Michigan.
as far as sound bites are going to go for this season, they're going to provide a lot of really great one-liners.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
yeah.
already they're doing that. But I think, you know, as far as the mother-daughter team goes, I think will be interesting because I feel like it's going to almost feel like a sister-sister team. You're right, because they are so close in age. I think the boundary of, like, listen to your mother is not quite as strong. It's more just like, we fight together like we're sisters.
But it might bring on the whole message of, you know, you're allowed to be best friends with your mom.
Right.
Of course, yeah.
So,
I'm excited for them.
Interesting to see how the relationship
Lots of laughs
develops.
ahead.
And our last team, Misty and Jim. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to like them because their first little interview, they said they don't compare themselves to the average person. And I was like, well, okay, they obviously seem really arrogant to me. And then they said they want to be the most dominant team on Amazing Race history. And I'm thinking, okay, they're really full of themselves.
Yeah.
They seem very privileged. I don't mean that in an insulting way, but that's just how they came off.
Right.
But to me, they blew my mind. They're so supportive of each other, too. I liked them, in all honesty, and I was shocked that I did.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. When I was watching their interview, I was like, okay, here's just like this, well-off couple that, at first I did not like them. And then honestly, it was like a switch. Like the minute they got to the beach, my entire perspective and like thoughts on them completely changed. He helped Adam out tremendously with the compass, and I was like, whoa, you are still competing. I loved that. She was super competitive. You could tell that she might have blonde hair and perfect teeth, but she is going to get down, and she will also do whatever she needs to win this race. So, they're smart. I think that they're going to do pretty well. And their tan might be a little overboard, but hopefully throughout the season it'll just tone itself down. Their tan with their white make their teeth just that much more white. And yeah.
Well, what's so funny that you say that before I get into what I think about them is that, I was right before I watched this opening episode, I was with a friend, and I said, we drove by a tanning salon. And of course, out here in California, I said, how do these places stay in business? Like, who still goes to a tanning salon? Like, I didn't know, And all of a sudden, I turn on the TV, and my friend immediately goes, that's who goes to a tanning salon.
There you go.
But no, so here's the thing. Do I think they're going to be the strongest team, at least to start? Absolutely. They got brains. They are fiercely competitive.
Yeah.
That being said, James, I'm with you as far as the thoughts when you first, I thought they seemed too confident. I thought they seemed almost arrogant. And honestly, I still haven't gotten over that yet. So I know you guys turned on their side. I think that they're gonna be the team to beat, but it was just their attitude right now is I still feel like it's kind of better than everyone. That's how I'm taking it anyway. I want to love them like you guys. Maybe I will, but still I'm kind of like, they seem a little harsh.
Well, maybe that's how it's setting us up, because we saw their initial interview, blah, blah, blah. They said those things. The first episode, you're like, oh, well, they're not so bad. But they might evolve into what they talk about.
I hope you guys are right. Like, I really hope I love them, because as far as, like, the brains and athleticism go, they have it.
I really felt the same way you do, James and Justin, that I didn't like them at first, but something they said really, even in the beginning, was that how they visualized their success.
Oh, yeah.
And they just seem like their attitude so far. I mean, not only did he help Adam, but he was just like cheering everybody else on as they were leaving, and it felt authentic. It didn't feel like that little fake, like,
exactly.
Hey, I hope you do well, and we're first place.
So I'm the only one here that did not see
But just like you said, how it didn't seem fake, it was authentic.
Yeah.
That at the beginning, I was like, oh man, here's like our fake couple who are just gonna be like all prissy prima donna. But then it was completely opposite.
Yeah.
I think they have a positive message where
Yeah.
it's like
I
if
agree.
you really have a good spirit and you really work hard and
successful.
you can be successful. And so far, I'm kind of digging that. I'm waiting to see. There's a little bit of mistrust too, Justin. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I still mistrust them a tiny bit, but they haven't given me any reason to other than that opening interview.
Right.
Fair.
They do work together, with their professional dentists, and they work together. So obviously they are going to work together. I just hope that she doesn't rely on him too much, and he doesn't have to like hold the team completely together.
Yeah.
That they both hold their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did need some sunglasses for those teeth, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Definitely.
That was the most inauthentic thing about them, I think, was the teeth.
The teeth.
How did they
And the
smile? I was
tan.
like, whoa!
And the tan. And the tan.
And the tan.
All right, so let's talk about this leg of the race.
Yes, let's finally get into it.
Exciting.
I'm so excited.
So like we said at the top of the show, they start off in New York City's Times Square, where they get their first route marker to take them to where the first race ended. Another little thing that I loved as being a super fan, that was at Flushing Meadows to go to the Globe. And I remember the finish line of that season. So long
Still
ago.
gives you goosebumps.
Oh gosh,
James.
yes. I thought it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So anyway, they get there. That's when they get their first route marker that they are actually leaving the country finally, and they're going to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. Beautiful. I loved it. I don't think we've seen the Virgin Islands on the race before, so I was excited to kind of see some more new, because you kind of see a lot of places be recycled.
Repetitive, yeah.
Yeah. So that was exciting. On Flight 1, oh wait, let's talk about the twist.
I was just gonna say, wait, because it's a
The
huge
save.
twist. Yes.
I
What do you guys
love
think
the
of the
idea of the
save?
save. I think it's awesome because, and I like that you can only have it until like whatever episode or
Ninth
episode.
leg.
ninth leg. But I just think that, it's always fun to add something new to a show. And now it's like, okay, we don't know, how they're going to use it. There's no past strategies. It's like brand new. And I think that if a team but I don't know, I'm kind of like defense, because the team who has it can't pass it along. Like they have it forever. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
I don't think they can pass it.
They didn't say that, but I assume you can't pass it. But I also the same thing. I'm like, I wonder if they
Do you
could like
think
try
you-
to negotiate some
so
weird
like
thing.
because they have it. I don't know.
I don't think you can pass it along.
Yeah,
here's
I don't
the
think
other-
you would want to.
Here's the other question, though. If they end up last place, does the team before them end up being eliminated, or do they make that their own non-elimination?
I think it
like
becomes
I
their
think
own
it counts as a
non-elimination.
non-elimination.
So they just save themselves. So
Yeah.
that's actually interesting on a production standpoint, just because you figure they always know exactly how many teams are on which leg.
Yeah.
So now it keeps them production on their toes too, because they might
Sure.
say, "Oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
have 6 teams this leg," and no, we're gonna
Nope,
have 7.
we still have 7.
Because
Gosh,
yeah.
I would have loved that. Would have made things so interesting if it was like a knockout too, where if you are last, you play it and it bumps the other team out. Can you imagine the strategy involved with that?
Yeah, because you have to be best friends with everyone.
Oh my
just
God.
in case. That way, if you were second to last, you'd be like, oh, actually, no, it wouldn't
But
matter.
you could also save somebody if you know that no one's going to get eliminated, and you're toward the end of the leg, and you are in an alliance, let's say, with the other team that's fighting for last place.
Yeah.
You can let them go in front of you.
That's what I'm saying is like, do they have to use it like for them? Because let's say another team who they think should not be eliminated, could they like save that team?
But you wouldn't want to, because your main mission, best friends with now with the other team, is to like make sure that
Yeah,
you get to the end.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because these are questions I think if we were all competing on the race, we would obviously have.
Yeah.
Like what kind of strategy, how could this really help me on a social level with the other racers? So
Yeah.
I love this twist.
I do
It'll be
too.
Interesting to see
I
how
think
it
it's
plays out.
exactly. It's very interesting because we have no idea what to expect.
I like the twist. I guess I thought maybe it'd be even more interesting is if somehow along this first leg it was random, or like who stumbled upon it as far as like a clue. Only thing is that it kind of like, obviously whoever finished this first leg was already a strong team, and now we've just made them even stronger.
Well-
and it would have been interesting to see if just some random ass team
But that's what's
would have somehow
interesting
gotten
too,
the
because
pass.
it kind of makes the save almost in a way it might not even be a threat, because usually the first winner of the first leg winner usually is very competitive throughout the end,
Yeah.
and they're usually long running, so that makes the save almost worthless in that sense.
That's
So
what I was like. Wouldn't it be funny if like just whoever happened to swim on the ocean they saw on the bottom, like
Or,
some
like, what if-
weird thing.
Or
What
like
if
a
they made
separate
it,
side
like-
challenge to win?
Yeah.
Or like, what if they said like, okay, the third place winner gets the save? Because then it's like, okay, we have no idea who's going to be third place.
And then you might not want to step on the mat. You might just stand there and
Ye-
wait
right?
for 2 other teams
Do you
to
want
check
to
in.
take
If
the
we
first-
get the
Yeah.
save, that
Yeah.
would have made things a lot
See,
more
because
interesting.
then you'd be like, no, you go ahead. Yeah, we want the
because
save.
I love the pass, but as soon as I saw that it was gonna be Misty and Jim getting the pass, I was like,
They're
like
already-
they're gonna need it. They're
Right.
gonna be in this race for a long time
Right.
with or without the pass. But
Yeah.
I love the idea.
I like what you said about some random team winning it, because I really thought Tim and TJ were going to win the first leg. They got second, and I was really hoping that they would get the save,
Yeah.
because I feel like they would be a team that at some point would absolutely
need it. Yeah.
So
So anyway, but back
Gotta
to
love
St.
the
Thomas.
save.
I'm glad we're there. St.
we're in
Thomas.
St. Thomas now. So flight 1, we have
Magically.
Tim and TJ, Dennis and Isabel, Adam and Bethany, Kim and Allie, and Misty and Jim, which were 40 minutes
Ahead of time.
flight 2. Keith and Whitney, Brooke and Robbie, Amy and Maya, Shelly and Nisi, Michael and Scott, and then Lisa and Michelle.
Yeah.
So when they land in St. Thomas, they are told to go to the Vendors Plaza, where they'll be signing up for a seaplane. And this is where we saw a lot of drama go down between the firefighters and the realtors.
Wait, just really fast. Can we rewind a little bit? Because once Adam and Bethany got to the airport first.
Oh, right. They had that little mishap.
But like, I was so confused when Tim and TJ were the first to actually check in. So what were they doing? Were they like waiting for like I was confused.
I think they were at the wrong counter.
Because the thing is, like, because I think you're right when it says, I think the start of the race happened in the middle of the night, and that American Airlines terminal at JFK is massive. And so during the peak times, there's counters on all sides of the terminal, and I'm guessing at 2 in the morning, there's probably only one tiny counter in the corner that has an agent at it. So I think that they probably went to like one side of the terminal where there was an American Airlines empty check-in desk, and then the other guys happened to see that one check-in desk in the corner on the other side of the terminal. Because I think it did seem like it was like at 4 in the morning.
Well, I thought I heard one of the teams say that they were looking for the marked path or something.
Right,
So
because it's
probably a
usually
marking.
marked at the end of the ropes.
But I noticed that too. I'm glad they still got to be on that first flight.
Right.
Me too.
You know, a little
I was
more
just honestly when Tim and TJ checked in, I was first of all surprised that they were the first people, and it made me actually really excited. It made me like keep wanting to root for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Unpredictable.
Yeah.
So the seaplanes, we have flight number 1, Adam and Bethany, Tim and TJ. Flight 2, Kim and Allie, Misty and Jim. Flight 3, Dennis and Isabel by themselves. Flight 4, Keith Whitney and Shelley Nisi. Flight 5. This is flight 5 and 6 is where things get a little muffled.
Yep.
A little bit
A
of
little
drama,
rough.
a lot of tension.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the showdown that happened between Lisa, Michelle, and Michael and Scott? Do you think it was a good gameplay? Do you think you would have done the same thing? How would you have handled that situation?
I would have not done what they did. Because right off the bat, it's like everyone knows them, kind of like everyone doesn't want to be friends with them because they literally just grabbed the pen and wrote over their names where he basically already had his name written. Yeah. So I think that was a bad decision on their part, but I did like to see how competitive they were, but I just think that it was too aggressive right off the bat.
I think it was really rough. Here's my thing though. They weren't fighting over who got to go on the first and second flight. They were fighting over who had to go on that very last flight.
Right.
So chances are it'd be super aggressive and it might be awkward if both teams make it. But there's a good chance that even if it's super aggressive between, let's say, you and I, and we now hate each other, one of those teams is going to go home because you're now on the very last flight.
Right.
So I think if it was the last flight, sorry, Jess, screw you if you're not competing against each other.
That's
I am
true.
moving you out of the way.
You take our marker?
It's one thing, but it's one thing to push somebody away, though. But yeah, somebody's writing with a pen and you take the pen out of their hands. That seems to be a little bit against the rules.
Game on.
It seemed like there was a lot going on
Game
because
on.
to me it looked like one of the girls actually got to the thing first. And then a firefighter came in and took the pen before I think the girl could really catch her balance because they were all running as a group.
Well,
and that's when I think one of the other girls took that pen out of his hand and wrote it in there.
Well, I watched it a bunch of times, and the one thing that isn't clear 100% because the way the camera angle was, you couldn't see the firefighters. The firefighters came from the opposite angle, and you could even tell it was chaotic because you actually saw Amazing Race is so good. Yeah, they're so good at keeping their cameraman out of the shot, but they had to have a cameraman in this shot, and I'm guessing that was the cameraman following the firefighters,
right?
Because they came from a different angle. So all we really saw in the end, I think, was the firefighters got the pen first, but it was literally they hit at the same time, but the firefighters I don't know which one grabbed the pen first. That's what it looked like to me. But again, I was looking online to see if anyone was talking about it on exit interviews, but I haven't seen anything on it.
It'll be interesting I want to go back and watch that clip now because to me it seemed the girls were there first, guys came in at the same time, but had been to grab the pen first.
Yeah.
And really random, and this is probably maybe only exciting for us. But speaking of seeing the camera guys, come on, this is an amazing race. These camera guys have to run so fast. These are not like tiny little GoPro cameras. These are like full on large television cameras. You would think for a travel adventure show, they'd be like, here's maybe a smaller, lighter camera.
But that's what's so amazing about the production
huge
skill.
cameras.
That's
and
what
they've
makes
been doing it for 25 seasons.
And that's why they win so many Emmys, you think, because they can do that. It's amazing and make it seamless.
Yeah, this episode especially, like with the cameras underwater, I mean, filming this show would be so exciting, and they honestly capture everything.
Yeah.
Like it's so well produced and shot.
So we see Amy, Maya, Lisa, Michelle. Not the firefighters on flight number 5. Flight 6 is Michael and Scott, Brooke and Robbie. They're in the rear. They seem like they have a little playful banter on the plane, thinking that one of them might get eliminated. But this is when things get a little old. First, the root info is they had to go to that rock in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, and they had to jump 2 stories after climbing over everything, and then had to retrieve a message in a bottle in the ocean. I loved it. I mean, I thought it was like, budget, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still something to kind of like put in there.
Yeah. So it was a great way to see a little bit of physical strength. It was great to see Bethany, how easily she was jumping over these rocks, and she showed right away, watch out, she can do this. She was great.
Then they had to go to the Blackbeard's Revenge, which I
Yes.
also loved. And they had to get on their boat, get their new clue, and then pull themselves to shore on these little boats. And that's when we saw the drama with Robbie and Brooke.
I don't understand what happened with their boat.
No idea. Too
I don't
big?
care. I just died laughing. I was literally
Like maybe they just have so much
crying.
muscle that they sunk the boat or something.
It very well could be. Very
I
well
have
could
no
be.
idea what happened, but we saw her little,
The firefighters were not the most graceful rowers either, though. I mean, they were rocking the boat
True.
real bad.
oh man, and their splash was the biggest. Into
But
the
they
water.
were rowing to what seems to be one of the most challenging roadblocks
roadblock.
I have seen in a few seasons now.
Right.
Yeah.
This roadblock kind of took me back to the beach roadblock in Bora Bora where they had to dig under those
Through
little snow, like those
castles.
sand castle
Yeah.
mounds, but they had to replace the sand castles. So it's just like this seemed just very excruciating as far as like the heat and having to dig and right in places.
Yeah.
And you might be like a few feet off of where it actually is. So we see Tim, Adam, Allie, Jim, Dennis, Keith, Shelley, Amy, Lisa, Scott, and Robbie take on the challenge of the roadblock. Who stood out to you in this roadblock?
Right off the bat, the dentist, what's his name? Jim. Yeah, Jim. I think Jim, just like I said earlier, the minute he really helped out Adam, and he also was pretty much the first to realize that the north wasn't actually north because he had a compass on his own watch. So he really helped out a lot of teams, and he just surprised me. I really liked him.
Then we saw on the other spectrum, though, Shelley helped Robbie, and then Robbie found it and didn't even bother acknowledging or giving thanks to Shelley for the help or going back and helping her find her chest.
Right.
So,
I was surprised once again. James, one of your favorite teams, Tim and TJ, very supportive, stayed positive. Once again, not a ton of muscle strength, but they did a great job.
and they never gave up.
But on the flip side, I was really surprised about Keith and Whitney. They are from Survivor. They are used to doing physical challenges out in the jungle. Crawling on the sand should be like a walk in the park for them. Crumbled.
Yes.
They were
Crushed
a
and
mess.
burned.
So those are my surprises.
I was actually also surprised that the two blondes had decided to go with the penalty because I don't know, for some reason when I first saw their intro, they seemed like the people who would just never give up and would keep fighting. And at first I was like, oh, these are going to be smart blondes. Don't ask me how to use a compass, but I do know what side the sun rises and the sun sets.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Bless their hearts.
I know. I mean, I'm sorry, but I was surprised. I thought for sure they would have just kept digging until they found it. And I wish they did. I really wish they did.
It's a 4-hour penalty. You could find it it was so comical seeing the actual location.
With the arrows on the
Yeah.
TV screens,
Yeah.
they're
That
so
was-
close.
That was hilarious. It was, and it took them 4 hours to find the treasure, but now they agreed to have a 4-hour penalty after the first leg. I was so blown away that they decided to do that. Like, this is the first leg. Like, I don't know. I would have not.
So they
ever
do the
done that.
penalty, and then it's an immediate race to the taxi.
Well, I
cabs.
love how the penalty pack, though, brought us back to season
Yeah.
22, because we saw Caroline and Jennifer, the firefighters, and Max and Katie do that, and Bora Bora. I loved how, again, bringing back an amazing race moment, they all put their hands in the middle and said, game on, and that's when they ran to the taxis, and it was just,
Scramble.
it was scrambled to get to that pit stop.
And karma, as they say,
Yeah.
can come back and bite you, to say it nicely.
Right.
Exactly.
The blonde girls tried to steal the firefighters' taxi, and they were like, "No, you stole our pen earlier. Get out of here."
Get out of here.
And so then they ended up getting the last taxi, which
Kinda put
basically.
them behind, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Misty and Jim first. They received the save.
Save.
Congratulations. Tim and TJ in second. Kim and Allie third. Brooke and Robbie fourth. Adam and Bethany
And
fifth.
let me just say that Brooke and Robbie went from the very last
Sinking
team,
boat.
the sinking boat, to getting what, fourth?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was.
And I'm
That's
surprised.
true.
I'm surprised at 6th. Maybe you guys were right. Amy and Maya, the scientists. I thought they would not even be that high at all. Congratulations to them.
And it's good to be kind of in the middle of the pack for the first few
Right.
rounds.
For sure.
Get your momentum to sneak your way to the top.
And you can get alliances. You don't
Yeah.
think it's much of a threat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they're sweet scientists. I think everyone's going to like them. Then we have 7th, Dennis and Isabel. 8th, Shelly and Niecy. And I think Shelly and Niecy probably could have done better had Robbie actually done the right thing and the nice thing and helped her out.
Yeah.
9th, Keith and Whitney. 10th, Michael and Scott. And then unfortunately eliminated our pink team. That's why I'm wearing pink today. Lisa and Michelle, the realtors from Miami.
Wow. Shocked.
That's our premiere for season 25 of
Yep.
The Amazing Race. Let's talk about predictions just really fast.
Yeah, really fast.
Yes.
And also, before we get to predictions, just really fast. You know how every season we beg everyone watching on YouTube and on Twitter to please tweet us any
Yes.
questions, comments, thoughts you might have. So here we go. All of our biggest followers and fans, Allie, rapid fire questions. James, this is your first one, all right?
Yes.
Allie wants to know, can Nashville and the firefighters come back from the 4-hour penalty?
Yes.
You think they can still make it all the way to the end of the race, perhaps?
Not the end of the race, but I think they'll
All
make
right.
their way through the front.
Jessica, does Keith and Whitney have an advantage for being on Survivor before doing the Amazing Race? That Team Nashville.
Honestly, it didn't show.
It didn't show, and also
So-
the twins from the last Amazing Race and the All Stars. One of them just got voted off of Survivor. That's not helping them.
Yeah.
So maybe this is
So,
two opposite of shows.
Two
Yeah,
different
and plus
fields.
they weren't a standout couple on Survivor, so
Yeah, and finally, Allie wants to know, if you guys were one of the final 3 teams shoveling, trying to find the treasure box, would you have taken the 4-hour penalty or kept digging?
No,
kept digging.
I
I
thought
would
so,
have
too.
never ever done a penalty on the first leg.
And finally, we talked about, she wanted to know what do we think about starting in New York City. We covered that. So there you go, Miss Allie. Thanks a million for asking all those
Thanks
great
for being a
questions.
fan.
And of course, everyone else listening and watching, please make sure that you continue to send us all of your questions.
Like Shannon Snowmax
Oh.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Shannon,
Love her.
I'm upset with Shannon right now. She tweeted, "Is it sad? I've been looking forward to this."
No, it's
So-
not
No, it's
sad.
not
We have
sad.
been counting down the days.
We have.
This is wonderful. You've been looking forward to this, Shannon. Gosh. All right. Anyway.
Predictions. Real fast.
So fast. Sorry, guys.
Now,
No, that was good.
your
I
AfterBuzz
loved that.
TV
We do that every week. Spitfire.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, Justin, I'm throwing it to you first.
Oh, come on. That's not fair. All right.
Sure.
Who do you think is going to get first, and who do you think is going to get eliminated?
So I don't know if they're gonna get first, but I think that Misty and Jim, they are on fire right now. If they
Yeah.
don't get first, they're gonna get second. They're gonna remain right at the top. Going to the back, I'm sorry, I think Tennessee, they have that 4-hour penalty right now. They have not been getting along that well. They've not been showing strength, so I will not be surprised to see them go.
Okay, Jessica.
I agree. I think definitely the 4-hour penalty is going to put both those two teams very bottom, and one of them is definitely going to go home. I think it will be Team Nashville. And then as far as number 1, I think it's still going to be the dentists. I think that they have a lot going on. I think that the college sweethearts, Tim and TJ, they're going to stay up there. So yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome.
What about you, James?
I'm going to say that Misty and Jim will get first because I think they have that mentality that they want to be the most dominant team in Amazing Race history, and I think that'll work to their favor. And I think next week will be an equalizer. They fly to London, so I think that the teams that did take the penalty took a really good risk, and I think that they'll all be on an even playing field in London. And we saw in the previews for next week the 2 teams that seem to be racing for the bottom slot were Shelly and Niecy and Dennis and Isabel. So I'm going to say Dennis and Isabel are going to get the axe next week.
James, you're always so smart.
I didn't watch
I wanna
the
get Shelly and
preview.
Niecy.
You're
See a
the
little
equalizer. You're always one step ahead of us. Why you should be on the Amazing Race yourself,
I
James?
know, right?
Gosh.
Where can they find you guys on social media?
You can find me at DressJessXO.
And you can find me at Justin J. Nichols.
And you can find me on Twitter at James Wallington and on Instagram at Mr. James Wally. And make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Now that we're back, we expect to be in the top 10 podcasts every
do
week.
it!
And the only way to make that happen is if you guys rate, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
Tell us what you think about the save, what you think about Adam and Bethany, and tell us what do you think about the drama that happened between the realtors and the firefighters.
So
Right.
via YouTube, also you can find us via AfterBuzz. Their
Yes.
Twitter handle at AfterBuzzTV. They will be tweeting about us, so you can find us on there as well.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.